Hello! Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Fabled Narrative, and let's get right into this. CBR.com. They dropped an article, and I usually do all my work between Monday through Saturday, and I jam-pack my day with Saturday from start to finish of, like, my day, because I like to take my Sundays off. I like to play video games, I like to rest, I like to eat junk food. It's like my Sundays are off. But today, there was an article that I at least found, and I couldn't wait. Sword Art Online versus the Rising of the Shield Hero. Now, I apologize to anybody out there who actually can read Japanese and understands how to pronounce those type of words. Let me go ahead and shut off the air conditioning. But I'm gonna pronounce this word as, anytime that I see this word, I'm gonna say different world, because the definition of this world is an accidental travel. When the main protagonist or even antagonist travels to a different world, and then they must traverse, they must travel, they must explore, become the hero of that world. For an example, How Not to Summon a Demon King, ReZero, if I remember that one. One of the most famous ones is Sword Art Online, and even Rising of the Shield Hero. So we'll just say accidental travel anytime that we see this word, because I don't like to butcher words. But which is the better accidental travel anime? And the reason I'm getting into this is because I saw at the very bottom of this article, and I will have the link down below. It's very small, but you can see the type. You can understand the type of person, the personality behind that. It's the last sentence of this one paragraph. Yes, its subtext, meaning the Rising of the Shield Hero, is tricky for some audiences to swallow, but hopefully the show's upcoming seasons might make up for its icky first season themes. Anytime that somebody uses the word icky, there's many expletive or explicit words I'd like to use to demean the person, because why would you use that as a definition for something? Like, if you're joking around, it's like, it's icky. But this is a we're going to go through the entire article. We really will. But if you use icky nonchalantly, unironically, oh my gosh, something's icky. It sounds like a weird word. If you're using it because because you really think that something sounds icky, oh my gosh. But here we go. This is going to be some spoilers between both Sword Art Online and The Rising of the Shield Hero, so I'd like to preface that for anybody out there that if you have not seen The Rising of the Shield Hero, at least go watch the first two episodes of the first season of The Rising of the Shield Hero. I was thoroughly surprised by it. I think that it could have been better in some places, but the pacing was a bit slow, but it's the first episode, they're building things up, and then right in I think maybe in the halfway point, maybe in the two-thirds point, they hit you with a rock. They hit you with a boulder of just what the main protagonist has to go through. So this is your warning. If you continue, it's on you. So I apologize. Again, it's a great show. Please go watch it. However, in this one paragraph, we're going to go through it from start to finish, but this one paragraph. However, in the wake of recent events, especially given the #MeToo movement and ongoing discussions about racial equality, S.H.I.E.L.D. heroes' false rape accusations and apparent condemnation of slavery can be triggering and very difficult for modern audiences to take on board. Okay, here's the thing. We'll even get to this later. But what happens with the main hero, for anybody out there who has not watched it and has continued to continue watching this, is that the main hero was transported into this world, and the princess in matriarchy. In this matriarchal society, the princess of the kingdom has accused the hero of rape. That he forcefully fucked her and held her down. She is lying and even sticks out her tongue when nobody is watching while the hero is looking at her. She is evil and vile, and throughout the entire first season, you want her dead. You want her to burn in fire. It's a kid's show. Sort of, in a way. And like they don't really show blood, but at the same time it's like very adult themes at the same time. It's so crazy. But that's one thing that happens. The second thing is that Raftalia, and hopefully I'm saying her name correctly, is not a prisoner, is a slave, legitimate slave, is given a tattoo that must obey her master when he, the main hero, forgot what his name is, not Icky or something, whatever his name is, when he needs to, when he's become emotionally detached from any and all things in this world because everyone in the kingdom is after him, and he has the weakest weapons and can't fight without somebody to actually go and fight for him, and nobody wants to because he was accused of rape. It's such a dynamic, oh my gosh, amazing theme I've ever seen. It's one of just because of its uniqueness is one of the things that I enjoy about it, but it also has real world applications that, yes, people, men specifically, have been accused of rape falsely. It doesn't mean any other thing than just that particular man has been accused falsely from a rape. That has happened in the real world, and it happens more often than you think. And just bringing that up, it's amazing. I love the anime because of that. But yeah, this is fake. This is a fake world. Okay, this is a fake world. I don't know how else to like communicate that to the writer of this article. It's a fake world. You're applying the real world life that we live in rather than looking at the world that the hero lives in. The hero, as everything that was just explained, has had everyone disown him, push him aside, and shun him. Nobody wants to do business with him. Nobody wants to fight for him, help him level up so that he can actually do the thing that was called for him to do, why he's even in the world to begin with. Nobody wants a piece of him until he actually gets somebody, a slave, to go and fight. Now, he's very kind to the slave, and you get to see that that's one of the reasons why she loves and enjoys being a slave to him, because he's the only person, if you can even think about it being like that, how real that is to her, that he's the kindest person who has ever been nice to her. Help her grow, help her live, character development. It's one of the reasons why she grows so quickly. It's if you want to think there's some other adult themes in there, you could probably think like, oh wow, she's like 6 years old, but she grows up to be like an 18 physical body. It's like, ooh, that's weird. Now that's one thing I'd more than happily say like, yeah, that's a bit weird. But we'll go into the entire thing. It's just this person. Oh my gosh, this person. So there's so much. I'm so glad that those photos are just so big, so we can just jump through them one paragraph after the other. So let's go through this. The main question is Sword Art Online versus the Rising of the Shield Hero, which is the better. What's the word called? Accidental travel. Which is the better accidental travel anime? Sword Art Online and Rising of the Shield Hero. Now, I'd like to preface another thing is that with Sword Art Online, I'd say the original Sword Art Online, including when they went to Fairy Online, whatever that name was, where there were fairies and flying around, that was based and the architecture and structure of the entire program was based off the original SAO game. And that's the one that I'm most familiar with. I've seen the second one, Gun Gale, and I think it was weak in comparison. It was really weak. They tried to do some things to step out of the box of like, oh, he's playing a female character. That's absolutely in the right, because I think like 90% of the of any and all female players female characters are played by men. So it's just like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I forgot about like that actually happens. Which they already did that in the Sword Art Online first one, when they were all revealed to be of whatever they were in the real world. Okay. But that's the one that I'm most familiar with. I'm going to go with the first one. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's a lot of errors in the first one. Like there's already somebody's already wins. Man, I keep going with Icky. Who's Icky? There's like the Sword Cavalier anime. I'm trying to and that name keeps coming up. This guy on the left, I'm a total fan. When the Dark Swordsman, the Black Swordsman, I think he's called, as a nickname, when he's called out, and an orange guild, those who actually go after players and actually attack them physically and take their stuff. They confront him on the bridge, and they start attacking him. Yeah, the big reveal of the main character in SAO is that he has 2 swords. He can dual wield. He has the fastest speed in the entire game. That's why he's able to dual wield, which is such a great reveal. But on the bridge, there's somebody dual wielding. You don't see it unless you pause it. You don't. It's so weird. If you, it's just so, okay. It's so broken. I still love it, even though it's riddled with flaws. Oh man. For many anime fans, the idea of leaving the real world and traveling to an exciting universe of action and adventure might sound like a dream. The isekai, the accidental travel. Let's go ahead and highlight that. There we go. Highlighting. Oh, look. There we go. The accidental travel are Sword Art Online and the Rising of the Shield Hero. And just to let you know, I would never in my life want to go to either of these worlds because of the situation that they had to go through. 2 years in Sword Art Online, they were trapped physically and could not leave unless you either killed yourself, died, or won the game. And it was pretty much unlikely anybody would have won unless they were actually trapped. Not trapped, we're actually I'm thinking of the unbridged version. It's more hilarious than the actual original version. Where the grand reveal after boss 38 or 78 or whatever, that what happens on that boss floor, for anybody who hasn't seen it. And, oh man, I would never want to go to any of these worlds at all. Both of them are riddled with hell in their world. Both shows have dedicated fan bases and are incredibly successful. But when it comes down to it, which one of these shows is the better accidental travels anime? That's a really good question. Now, again, one of the things that I would ask is what are the basis of what you were talking about? So we have strengths. What do you mean strengths? Strengths of one, strength versus the other. The weakness of one, the weaknesses of the other. Okay, which is the better one, and we get to the summation. Okay, just want to know. Whew, here's me. Yep. So we're gonna go with the strengths of Sword Art Online. One of the last decade's most popular anime franchises, Sword Art Online, tells the story of the protagonist Kirito, freaking A, that's his name. Kirito. Kirigaya. I'm gonna go with Kirigaya. A young boy who ventures into various MMORPG worlds. Actually, it's VR MMORPGs. She's wrong. The person who wrote the article. It's a virtual reality MMORPG. It's explicitly said to be a virtual reality, not just multiple MMOs, but a virtual reality. That's what he does. Based on the light novel series of the same name, the show begins... Well, actually, is it multiple MMOs? But this one's the first VR, or were there multiple VR MMO games? And this is just more curiosity's sake. Based on the light novel series of the same name, the show began in 2012 and has since generated multiple anime seasons, a movie, a spin-off anime, and many video game adaptations. Each season covers one or more video game worlds, each with its unique environment, rules, as well as accompanying storyline and characters. Sword Art Online is a story that never gets stagnant and is continually evolving. And that's one of the things I think they did well, is because they realized what they did wrong in the first series, Sword Art Online, the original one, and then each season that came after that, I thought was a little, not weak, okay? It's like they had some really strong. There's for one, again, spoiler warning. I think it's in the third series of Sword Art Online. They actually have a character who, again, spoilers. They have a character who is dying. I think that's the case, and she actually is stuck in the world. It's not stuck in the world. Is stuck. Is bedridden. She can't move. She's dying. It's not that she has cancer. It's just she has an illness or something. And like 4 or 5. There's 4 or 5 of them that were originally starting not in maybe Sword Art Online, but maybe that's where they were. But have been playing in a virtual or MMORPG because that's the only That's the only place that they can actually live. That's the only place that they can actually interact with people. That's the only place that they can actually get out of bed and do stuff. So she, the main character who's actually dying in the series, is better than Kirito. And that saying, the first time they mentioned that, I was like, oh, it's like, oh, he's so much powerful than me. And then actually gives the reason that because she's been bedridden for so long, that she's been playing the game for such a long time, that the likelihood of her being better than Kirito is so much like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes absolute sense. And it really hit home of she's dying. And at the very end, I think she actually passes. And that freaking hurt. Like, that in like such a good way of like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad. But I think the show overall was weaker, but that one point was great. It doesn't make the entire series when that was being shown. It doesn't make that series great. It's just that in that series was great. Oh man, I was continually evolving. It's one of the main reasons the show has been able to keep going for so long. Very true. Another major pro about Sword Art Online is that each season only improves after the last. I disagree with you on that one. It's sort of the same thing that I've seen with Avatar: The Last Airbender versus Avatar: The Legend of Korra, is that just because there is a second or a sequel or something that precedes it, just because a great example is the Disney Star Wars. You can like it. It has nothing to do with likeness or likability. It's whether or not it's actually good. It doesn't hold up. They did not have a plan, and they changed directors, and they kept changing and retconning both the past of in the sequels and the prequels and the originals. They just changed things willy-nilly to fit whatever story they need to fit in that movie. For example, the first and second sequel with The Force Awakens and the Last Jedi and the which one was The Last Jedi? Yeah, The Last Jedi. The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. I was okay with where they went when The Force Awakens. I was okay with it. Like, okay, they've opened things up. It's more of repetition. But where are they going to be going with this? But then The Last Jedi, Luke throws the lightsaber away, and it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, okay. Then he goes down to the rocks and starts drinking blue milk. And if you realize, if you go to the production, you actually see not George Lucas. Whatever the freak is his name, Mark Hamill. If you actually see his face when they're actually explaining what he's going to have to do in that scene, his face is so done. He does not like what's happening. It's the production of being able to create that physically, that blue milk, that's real. Somebody built that. The entire monster. Somebody built that entire thing. It's so, oh my gosh. Anyways, I was going on a rampage. Okay, another major pro about blah 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 improves on the Flash show. Again, just because you make more of that thing doesn't mean that it is better, and I think that's why this person is talking in that way. Currently, this show is on its third season, the second part of its fourth story arc, and is shaping up to be the most exciting and well-written season Sword Art Online fans have ever seen. You know what? I'd even have to hold my tongue on this because I have not seen the latest series, so I'd actually have to hold my tongue on that. Strengths. What? Those are the strengths? Holy crap! What do you mean? Strengths. Okay, there's only 3 paragraphs of the strengths of Sword Art Online, and the majority, if we literally just zoom out and just scroll down, the majority of this article is it seems to be just filler. Are you serious? Are you serious? Oh my gosh. Okay, why do I have such a big issue with this? The strengths of the show is that they're making many of it. There's much game to have. What? It's one of the main reasons the show has been able to keep going for so long. Okay, popularity doesn't mean good, if that's where you're going with. Profitability doesn't mean it's good. Profitability can be the outcome of why it's a good thing. Why did Joker win out in the box office, having only $10 million or so, maybe 20, 30, 40, $50 million of expenses, of cost, and made a few billions, if not at least 1 billion, at the box office. Why was that in comparison to Star Wars Solo? Star Wars Solo is brought to you by Star Wars. It had made like hundreds of millions of dollars invested into it, and it lost money. The film, one of them can be better than the other, but I don't care about whether or not it made money. I don't care if it made profit. I don't care. There's Megamind. Anybody out there who has ever heard of Megamind? Megamind is a movie that was in competition, came out roughly the same time as Minions, or not Minions, Despicable Me 1. And Despicable Me 1 launched at the box office, and they kept making number 2 and number 3 because of the Minions. And they changed the story, they had good cast, but so did Megamind. The reason that Megamind went, it's just one over the other one. There was a win of one over the other one. And it's just, Megamind is such an underrated film. It's not perfect in any regard, but it definitely deserves at least a B+, maybe an A-. The Minions number 1, I thought that Steve Carell was miscast. I do not like Gru's voice. I don't. Like, I think he's okay. I will tolerate it. Kind of still a good movie. But number 2, I think was actually, and then the Minions movie, that's what number 2 was. That's what I was thinking. The Minions movie I thought was absolutely phenomenal. Not because of, the Minions. They had a phenomenal villain, and I think it was, I don't remember what her name was, something Death or something. She was phenomenal. And that she made the entire movie. It was pretty good. Okay, but the reason that she thinks that the strengths of the anime is that it was popular, it's profitable, and why not the story? Why not the plot? An anime that brought 200 people or 2,000 people, 20,000 people, whatever the original number was. I think it was just 20,000 people. We'll go with that. 20,000 people being caught in an anime into this, which was a very unique situation at the time. It's sort of like The Matrix, but in the regard of everybody being happy that they're being forced into the Matrix. It's kind of on that regard. And then of all the character developments throughout it. Like, there's no mention about the plot. There's no mention about the characters. You're just saying that it's popular, it's made profit, and there's many of the Sword Arts Online available for people to go watch. That's why it's so strong. What a fucked up article. This is stupid. Okay. What do you have? Are you going to say the same thing about the Rising of the Shield Hero? If you are, I'm going to be so, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with myself. Okay. Strengths, the Rising of the Shield Hero. Yeah, I think I'm Raftalia's face, or the main character's face. Maybe the article, whatever the chickpea, if anybody who has seen the anime, the chickpea woman right here with the wings, I think the writer of this article thinks that, like, this is what she feels like all the time, but doesn't have a fucking clue what's going on. She's looking one way, and then both Raftalia and the main character, the shield hero, are looking the other way towards what's actually drawing their attention to what's real. I think everybody's on the left-hand side here. A more recent entry into the Accidental Travel anime canon, The Rising of the Shield Hero, tells the story of Naofumi, that's one of the reasons why, okay, Iwatani, a college-aged, we'll call him Ni. We'll call him the Shield Hero, because that's actually what he's addressed by. A college-aged boy who is summoned to a fantasy video game world. In essence, it technically is a fantasy game world, but it's more a fantasy world. It's not a fantasy game world, it's more of a fantasy world, and then there's video game actions that's happening into the world. That's how I would address it, but she's not wrong. And told that he must fight incoming waves of monsters and become the legendary Shield Hero. Unfortunately, Naofumi's excitement turns to resentment after his one companion, at the very beginning in the first episode, betrays him and turns the entire kingdom against him by falsely accusing him of rape. With no way out of his responsibility to save the world, Naofumi embarks on a journey to fulfill his duty despite his destroyed reputation. Again, that's factually correct. But why do you think? What are the strengths of the show? Everything you said in this first one, on point. I'd agree with you. On point. You are correct. Where are you going with this? Shield Hero may only have one completed season, but it told a compelling and exciting story of redemption as Naofumi goes from a disgraced being to one of the most praised and respected heroes. Season 1 is efficiently paced with no arc or story taking too long, plus its humorous moments provide perfectly timed moments of levity, and its epic fight scenes are always packed with action. You said a lot of stuff, but you didn't give any examples. Season 1 is efficiently paced. I'd agree with you on that one, but to someone like, okay, what do you mean by that? With no arc or story taking too long. What do you mean by that? I'd say that there was one that took too long. When they were doing what was the race? They were doing a race. I don't remember why they were trying to do the race. I'd have to watch the entire season again. But they were the other three heroes that were teleported into the world, they are all in a party, or one of them is in a party, with the woman who accused the Shield hero of rape, and falsely. And they're in a party, and they're trying to win this race. It's literally a very silly scene. It's lighthearted, there's campy music, but it's for, like, serious stakes, whatever those are. And I think that entire thing took too long. I think the entire reason they had the race to begin with felt inconsequential. I thought that one person was accused of race, and they're like, oh my gosh, and they're just, like, being snooty to him, rather than be like, dude, you fucking raped her. You need to be put in your place. You need to go away. It's not, hey guys, let's just fairly fight for it. Like, what? What are you talking about? What? Again, she's not providing any explanations as to why it's one way or the other. Season 1 is efficiently paced. What do you mean? There's with no arc or story taking too long. What do you mean by that? Plus, its humorous moments provide perfectly timed moments of levity. Well, give an example. You're just saying, oh, it sounds amazing. Okay, why? Give a reason, please. And its epic fight scenes are always packed with action. Yes, epic fight scenes usually have packed action within them. You're saying so much, but yet so little. Okay. One of the best qualities of the show is how it subverts expectations. I just want to point out, anybody out there, subverting your expectation is not a fundamentally good thing. If there was a kids show, for example, Kung Fu Panda, it is a kids show with a panda who wants to become a Kung Fu master. With Kung Fu Panda 1, he wants to become the greatest, he's the legendary Kung Fu warrior that all the Furious Five bow down in respect and want to hang out with him later. At the very end of this, at the movie, to subvert your expectation, it goes into a full-blown porno. Like, hey, subverting your expectation! Like, whoa! That would be too much. Subverting your expectation is not necessarily a good thing. Like, you can subvert my expectation of somebody being brutally murdered, like The Last of Us 2. It could have worked from how I've explained. I never played The Last of Us 1. It sounded like a story that I would like, but not a game that I would enjoy. The Last of Us 2, same thing. A story that, if it would to be pulled off correctly, it would be something that I would enjoy watching, but it's not something that I would enjoy playing. I'm not a fan of gruesome murders unless it's with big, gigantic robots, like in Titanfall 2. I know, I'm a very simple man. And, yeah, so again, subverting expectation, not a fundamentally good thing. You can enjoy how it did subvert your expectation, like at the very beginning. I was grateful that it subverted my expectations. But the reason it subverted what the subverted expectation was that it's not that I had an expectation with the show as to why I love the Rising of the Shield Hero. The subverted expectation is that when I was watching this anime, I didn't know where it was going, but it pleasantly surprised me to talk about something in the real world that happens to men being falsely accused, and the real world execution of that in his world. So again, you could have it where they are calling out rapist and all that things. But what if, again, every single person in the entire anime calls out rape, but he was falsely accused of it? I was like, that happens in this world. That's interesting. And I know that I was I was kind of bitching her out at the very beginning. It's one of the reasons why I paused, if you want to go back to the very beginning of this video, as to why. I was happily subverted within my expectations. My expectations were subverted when watching the show. That was interesting. But I guess one of the things, if I could really like hone in on it, it's like there's no reasons. What do you mean by subverted expectation? Please give me an example. Episode 1, moving on. It's like I'm trying to explain myself, but I guess in my mind I'm not explaining myself, so I apologize. We're just going to move on. Thank you for bearing with me. Episode 1 lays down a foundation of what viewers think the show will look like. Actually, yeah, I would say that. I guess even if you took out the entire falsehood of rape, you could have it where, take out falsehood of rape, of him being accused of a false rape accusation. And you can have it where all 4 heroes are the enemies and were summoned to be sacrificed. And maybe the 3 of them were successfully sacrificed, but the shield hero got out alive and was able, and because he found himself to be scared and a coward, he gains all this burden upon him, that he travels around with this burden and fear of being caught. But then he just can't help but help other people. He can't help himself helping other people in other cities and other towns. And when the city, the kingdom, is going after him, it's like, from that one plot alone, I would be interested in watching that. But the expectation, what's important is that you write something unique. Any unique thing, it doesn't have to be massively unique. Take an idea and take a snippet, take a spark of where it might go, and then how would it actually play out? If somebody was to be deaf, dumb, and stupid, why would they be the successful hero unless everybody was inspired about him being so bombastic, even though maybe retarded? As an example, Asta in the Black Clover. I highly recommend that show, but that main character, the protagonist, is so annoying. He really is. His voice is annoying. But I love the fact, and I keep watching it because of that, is that he's the character people are inspired by to act better, to become a hero as well. He's a hero without even realizing how much of a hero he is. He doesn't have that much power. If anything, he's the opposite of having power, and he starts at the very bottom. That's something that when I was doing my own story, then I started watching the Black Clover, and I didn't realize that the show came out and that I was writing my own story. I was typing my own, I had some loose ideas, and then this came out. I had them differently. I actually was thinking of a brother who had power and a brother who didn't, but at the same time, they both have this combination that they're working together. And it's very different from the story I was creating, but there's so many similarities that I created with my own story. So, I keep going with The Last of Us too. The Rising of the Shield Hero. Yeah. It's... again, you can have your expectations subverted. You really can. As a foundation, it's like, yay, I was subverted with my expectations. If you're watching a new thing, you're gonna have your expectations subverted. Like The Boys, where all the heroes are villainous and they're in a company, and the company is trying to sell the hero services, and every hero is a freaking dick. And the one good person is the female. I don't remember who she was. I only watched like first few episodes. But that was awesome. It did captivate my attention. Like it felt like something was like, I've already seen this before. It's just over and over and over. Heroes bad. Haha. Look at how bad we are. I might enjoy it in a year or two, but just for right now, it's just not for me. I'm not going against the grain. Then about 15 minutes in, the rug was pulled out from under when the kingdom turns on Naofumi. It's a recurring motive that keeps viewers engrossed and on edge as they progress through the season. Okay, that's not a good thing. I'll fight against that, actually, is that if something is like a motive that keeps changing, and that's like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. Okay, did the thing that you expect to happen and what happened in the show... Is what happened in the show might have happened in the show versus it just being something that changed your expectations. For example, I keep going back to it. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I think it was in The Last Jedi. Ben, was it Ben? Ben Solo? Not Ben Solo. Ben, whoever the antagonist is, whoever the villain is. He is in his ship and he's about to fire, or shows that he's about to fire onto Lady Organa, the general, onto her station and kill her. She and him like had this moment. I don't know if he felt her or he felt him through the Force, but he had this moment of like, I can't do it. And then another ship that was like, oh wow, good. I'm glad you didn't do it. And then a subverted expectation. Another ship blew up the station, blew up the command center, and she died. But wait a second, we're going to subvert your expectation one more time. She's awake, and we zoom in on her, and she's in the middle of the vacuum of space, and she opens her eyes. Oh, wait for a second, here's another subverted expectation. She uses Space Force magic to pull herself to the ship, opens it up, and she goes to safety. Here's another subverted expectation. When she opens up the doors, no one else is sucked out. It's just one of those things of like, okay, it would have been great to have the subverted expectation that she either died. I wouldn't like it. I mean, even if like you could probably make it work that like in the world of Star Wars, both the light and the dark are always at odds and they're always casualties. It would have sucked, and I don't think that it would have been great for that to have happened. What would have been great is if Ben Solo, I think it was Ben Solo, the son of Han Solo, and Lady Organa, if he didn't fire, and he accepted the loss, or started to take his frustration and rage out on other things. It's just like in that moment of like, ooh, what was about to happen? Is that the expectations kept trying to be subverted, and it always engages your unconscious mind without it allowing to sit and say, would that have actually occurred? Could a Jedi survive the vacuum of space? Was she passed out? Why was she in space for so long? If she was in space for so long, was it an unconscious thing to keep yourself without being trapped within the vacuum of space? If that was the case, why do Jedis need to have ships? Well, to go with light speed. Well, can you not just use the Force to make yourself teleport? Can you not do that? Like, Disney Star Wars kind of messed it up, and especially at the rise of Skywalker. Again, subverted expectations. You move to one action point. It's like, well, wait a second. We need some time to breathe, accept things that have kind of happened, like get into the moment, get into the world, and then you can do a pull the rug out. Just because something was pulled out, I would not agree that that's a thing. It's great to happen, but it's not something just over and over and over and over. It's like, oh, we constantly are having our minds change. Like, okay, what changed your mind? Why did it change your mind? It's like this person isn't giving us explanations at all, but saying that there's strengths. It's like, okay, I would argue the opposite, and it's exactly the same. I know this is an opinion piece, but can you be a bit more specific rather than taking up the majority of your writing space with pictures? Do you really need to have pictures? Okay, I just want to give for an example. You have pictures for the majority of your work. I think what would benefit you is if instead of having just this gigantic wallpaper that makes us go like, oh wow, it looks amazing, could you put it onto the right hand side of your art or of your words, so while we're reading on the other side you can have a smaller photo, rather than if we zoom in it's the entire page. Could put it on the right hand side, and then while we're reading, like credits and the end of a movie, we can still have the credits rolling, we can still have the text while we're reading it, each line that we're reading of what you think, while, oh look, there's a little picture, rather than trying to fill up the majority of your page here with art. I'd say the majority of your, the majority of your entire article is art. That's not good. Oh, I'm kind of afraid to see what type of arguments you have with what the weaknesses are. You haven't really given us many strengths, and anything that you say, it's like, well, I could argue for the opposite. Okay, I want to agree, but we could argue for the opposite. It's not a good thing to just argue for the opposite. I understand that. I understand that there's some flaws in my thinking. Oh, that's good, squishy. The Simpsons. While Sword Art Online has become one of the most popular anime franchises of the last decade, that praise has it come without a fair share of criticism. Without going any further, the one criticism that I have that, she could put is, actually, you could put that the incest that happens on the show is weird. Now, I am in favor of having mistaken identity, loving somebody in a game, and realizing that it was your brother, or like brother-in-law, or whatever it was, your stepbrother or your cousin or something. If you didn't mention that it was just your brother, that would be it'd be weird. It's weird. But having mistaken identity, I think that's something that can actually happen. You play a game with somebody, and legitimately in a world that you're just so engrossed in, you have your entire body engaged with your body and mind. Again, when you have your body engaged, your mind's going to follow. So when you have your entire body engaged, fighting the enemies, going through the trials and tribulations with somebody as a partner, you start to enjoy them, like them, and then you eventually have this affection for them. And then you realize that person's related to you. It's like, oh, fuck. Like, that's something that that is something I wouldn't take off the table to making an art about it now, or making a story about it. Now, putting it into Sword Art Online, I would listen to some arguments as to, like, well, we shouldn't do that because it would derail this, and this. Okay, no, I understand, but again, I like that one. But that's one thing that you could probably put as the criticism. Okay. From a purely technical standpoint, early seasons of Sword Art Online suffered from issues with pacing, lack of focus, and weak characterizations. Now, I'm going to go and guess without reading anything else. Can you please give us an example? Like, that's the one thing I want. Can you please give us an example of this? My expectations is that she will not give us an example, but let's keep reading. Some of it can be attributed to bad writing. What do you mean? Can you please give us an example of bad writing? I think a great writing, and I think we'll go into a bad writing. What would be a bad writing? Bad writing would be when... Who's the character? The blacksmith that Kirito takes a blacksmith into the mountains. Some of the dialogue there is kind of bad. That would be an example of it, but she hasn't given us an example. Like, all you have to do is just say, here's an example, and have it for 1 or 2 lines right below it, and then do another paragraph. You can even have, to even structure this entire thing, you could have it with 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph is to argue some of the real world financial, or how many seasons there were. And then the second paragraph, you could structure it with, here are the weaknesses within the plot. And then the third paragraph, you can have, what is it called? The character development. I know, that's something I had to rethink. By the way, I just saw the word misogyny and sexual assault. Go fuck yourself. But I have to read the context before we get into anything. But my expectations is that I'm not going to be disappointed. Okay, some of it could be attributed to bad writing. Give an example, please. But the main reason, you haven't even explained anything. It's like, I liked it, I didn't like it, and that's why. Oh, wait, what? The main reason, let's go ahead and highlight the whole thing. But the main reason was that the show was trying to cover too many stories in a short amount of time. I'd actually disagree with that. I think maybe they weren't as developed. I would probably agree with you on that one, but at the same time, I wouldn't. It's sort of like a hero of the episode, hero of the week, or the adventure of the week. Kirito goes to one area and deals with people, tries to solve a murder in one episode, goes to another place and realizes he wants to be part of, he's reluctant to be part of a guild, I'm doing this all out of order, doesn't really want to be part of a guild, but he just reluctantly joins the guild, and then realizes that all of his members were killed during a trap room. And there was another time, it's like, yeah, like each episode consistently has Okay, here's the character development and relating with the people that are in the world. Maybe you could argue that maybe some of the episodes, or maybe even all, if you really want to go that route, as to all of the character developments were too short. Maybe you could have spanned it out. I would agree with you on that one. I think you could have thoroughly expanded on every single floor, and you could have it play out for the first level, the second level. Maybe we show up and he's on the 5th level, the 6th, the 7th level. But like in episode 5, he's already in level 17. In episode 10 or 12, he's on level 58. It's like, slow down. I want to know what's happening. It's not that they're covering too many stories, it's that the actual overarching plot of the entire thing is rushed. I want to see more of the world. Each and every single level was unique to the next. The literal world of Alcatraz, or whatever the Alstracad, or whatever the world in Sword Art Online is, there was 100 levels. Each of those levels is almost the same size, and until about the 25% up, 25%, 25% up, it kind of goes into a cone, like a pine cone. And it's just about the same size, and you have each is a different world. There's a mountainous world, there's a snowy world, there's a water world, there's a sand, a desert world. You could explore each and every single one of those. I would love to, like, if I got $1 billion, or let's just say $1 million, I would find some way to make Sword Art Online, even if to have its own series again, going through that, taking its time, sort of like the seasons of 1 through 4 of Game of Thrones. Take your time. I want to be enthralled. I want to watch it. Avatar: The Last Airbender took its time to get to the North Pole. Took its time to try to find a way to defeat the Fire Nation. Took its time to actually defeat the Fire Lord. Took its time. Because the main character, not because he needed to slow down, was actually living in the world, and there's things that happen. Bad things, good things, but he has to respond to those, which might derail where he needs to go, or might make it quicker for him. And it's whatever is actually working in the real world, not what we want to happen. I want him to win, yes, but what happens in the episode? What happens in the show happens whatever is happening in the world. A cause and effect reality that's happening in the world. Things don't just out of nowhere. So, oh man. Like, I think I'm doing this woman's job for her, trying to explain certain things about each of the shows. It's led to things like the continuous reliance on Kirito's god complex. I have to hold my tongue on that one again, because I don't know which series she's talking about, if it's at the very end of Sword Art Online. But at the same time, Kirito... So, again, it's led to, like, okay, let's read this again. Okay, like bad writing. But the main reason was that the show was trying to cover too many stories in a short amount of time. It's led to things like the continuous reliance on Kirito's god complex. By just watching the first and second series, let me tell you, Kirito having a god complex might be actually out of character. If Kirito was actually becoming strong, and I'm saying this without understanding that I've seen this season 3 or 4, so I apologize, is that if he has been playing for such a long time, and it's just he's kind of consumed by this, by being so effective in this virtual reality, then wouldn't that just be something of, like, that's part of his character? The continued reliance of Kirito's god complex? Okay, I don't get that. Watching the first and second seasons, I don't know what you're talking about. It's either A, there's something that happens in season 3 and season 4, which it means that it doesn't really continuously rely on it. Yeah. No, Kirito's god complex? Again, what's an example of the god complex? You mean that he's really good? You mean he's really good and he has high stats because it's a digital game that has saved his stats? Like, I don't get that. I think you're wrong. Let's take season 3 and season 4, because here's what she says. Wherein he randomly becomes stronger for plot convenience. I'd agree with you on some cases. Yeah, I'd agree with you. But becoming stronger for plot convenience is not a god complex. A god complex is, I'm amazing. Wherein, as an example, him fighting the dungeon floor boss by himself. I thought that entire episode, that scene, was awful. And, like, I'm supposed to feel epic that he did it, but it feels like it doesn't feel epic. It doesn't feel great. I think that it just didn't. If I was to go, if anybody out there wanted me to do so, I don't think I'm going to, but I wouldn't mind doing it. To explain and going through scene by scene by scene by scene. Or going through the entire episode, going through the entire scene once, and then going through clip by clip by clip, or scene by scene by scene, to finish that entire boss battle by himself. It didn't feel epic. It didn't. He was pausing way too much. There's, if he's able to do that, well, can he not do the second floor with maybe 2 people, or the next floor with only 2 people? Can he do the third floor, the floor even after that, with only 5 other people? Like, again, that's, like, I would agree, but it's not a god complex. He doesn't be like, oh, I'm amazing. That's a god complex where it's just more of plot armor and plot strength. Rather, again, it's not god complex in the slightest. If anything, Season 3 and Season 4 have fixed, from what she said, is him just being stronger willy-nilly. I'd agree with you on that one, but, like, I have some arguments, but you're not wrong there. Okay, but that doesn't fix the issues from the 49 episodes. Oh, from the first 49 episodes. Okay, you're just wrong on that, but that doesn't fix the issues of the first 49 episodes of the main hero being overtly strong to the nearest end of his life when he needs to win the battle or every and all things are going to be perished. Man, you're just wrong. You're just wrong on that. But even though more recent seasons have fixed logistical issues, which you really haven't given any logistical example, you've just said things. I've given you the examples. There is one major criticism that even Alice's, actually that's the story arc. I don't know how to say this. I apologize for mispronouncing it, but the Alicization. I want to see that one. I haven't seen it. I just haven't gotten to it. That's my fault. Alicization arc isn't immune to, and that's misogyny. Oh, I want to go to bed. I'm done with this. I'm done. Oh my gosh. I want to read that again because you're so stupid. Okay, just with that word alone, you can already tell her politics. She's on the left. She's an SJW. She's a feminist. She's oh my gosh. You can already tell who this person is by the sheer use of the word misogyny. And she's a woman, so apparently it's like, oh my gosh. It's so cringe. It's like, shut up, you woman. like, it's like, shut up. It's like, oh my gosh, you're going after me. Yeah, because your ideas up to this point have been stupid. And it's like, oh my gosh. Okay, but let's go ahead and let's get into this again. Not to be overtly Pilates, but you know, for the horde. But even though more recent seasons have fixed logistical issues, there is one major criticism that the Alicization arc isn't immune to, and that's misogyny. Just to let you know, I've never seen misogyny in any episode, period. If anything, we could talk about Gun Gale Online, where as a female player, you are exposed to many actions. Many actions are done to you. For example, a man thinks you're hot, comes up to you, and wants to flirt with you. Yes, as a guy, women don't do that. Not every woman does. Not every woman wants to go to the average Joe and just say, I want to fuck you. But every guy will go to a woman and say, I want to fuck you. It's just how men and women are biologically different. It's like women, you might be annoyed by that, but let's put it in reverse. It's like, well, okay, go up to a man and say, hi, how are you? I'm interested in you. How many women do that compared to how many men take the action? Men today aren't taking the action because they're kind of afraid of any action that they take might accuse them of rape, might accuse them of sexual harassment or harm. And it's like, you know what? I'll just fuck a woman online. Like, fuck it. I would rather be safe in that regard. And they've been pussified because of males being a patriarchal society. It's like women who think this way. Shut up. Everything's misogynist. Oh my gosh. Shut the fuck up. Oh, and I don't mind saying that. As a woman. Because it's subjective. All you have to do is, I'm a woman. I'm a woman. Since season 1, oh my gosh, it's not patriarchal, you bitch. If you have anything that you mention, I'm closing my eyes. I don't want to look at the video, the screen. If she mentions that the entire reason it's patriarchal and misogynist is that it was the entire universe of Sword Art Online was built by a male scientist, engineer, programmer, I'm gonna flip my shit. I'm gonna probably poop and then smear it all over the screen so I have to see even less shit. Wow. Since season 1, Sword Art Online has featured at least one scene depicting sexual assault. What the fuck are you talking about? It's featured at least one scene depicting sexual assault on a female character. What the fuck are you fucking talking about? You never see that. You might have sexual unwantedness, sexual assault. Go fuck your shit, you. There's so many words I want to use against you that might get me banned for you know, I'd be banned for the right reasons, but gosh. What? Sexual assault on Sword Art Online the first season? If anything, women are propped up, which is awesome. One of the strongest characters, is his wife. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And there's reason for it. She's... what? Sexual assault? Can you please give a reason? Up to this point, if any person who has not questioned this article has shown that it's like, oh, I liked this, I didn't like this. This is a statement about it without any factual justification or evidence to support the claim. But now, if you've gotten to this point and you're just like, oh wow, this is interesting. She hasn't, please, for the life of me, of the entire video, of entire article, the only example I want you to give is this one. Where the fuck in the Sword Art Online Season 1 series is there ever sexual assault on a character? And if you mention, the only one I can ever mention, with legitimacy, would be or two of them, if you really want to go with it, but we'll go with the first one because there's actually physical contact. Where Kirito is waiting for whoever his wife is. I forgot her name. I'm going to be so freaking embarrassed to not remember her name. She was very critical to the story. Because it took me for a while to remember what Kirito's name until I read it, so we'll give me a pass right there. I love giving myself a pass. Yeah, it's like giving yourself the nigger pass. I give it to myself. You can't, that doesn't work that way. Yes it is. No, and you just like throw it down every time. You just have to like put it around your neck. It's like, yes, look at this. It's my nigger pass. Okay. The one example I would give is when Kirito is waiting for his wife, who isn't his wife yet, but who he's going to be traveling with on a specific floor, she teleports in and jumps on him by accident. She's running away, and it's an accidental trip. They fall. She falls on top of him. He has his hand on her breast and squeezes it, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Like, wait, what is this thing? Because he's been knocked out a little bit, so he's coming to and be like, wait, what is this? And then he realizes, like, oh my gosh, what did the fuck I do? He's embarrassed. She is like, oh my gosh, why'd you do that? And you get to see that she's like, you could feel like that's a sexual assault. But it's an accident. If anything, it's one of those things like, he did not mean to do that. It's one of those honest mistakes that's very horrible, but the both of them, including the audience, understands it's an honest mistake. I'd say it's a bad mistake, but an honest mistake. And if anything, I support you, Kirito, for copping a feel. Copping a feel? Copping a feel. Good job getting it in there. Maybe that was one of the reasons that she liked you. It's like, hey, but it was just out of character. Anyways, enough joking about that. But then her escort took it upon himself to see himself to be her permanent bodyguard everywhere that she went, because he thought that Kirito was scum and a solo player, which is the bane in that world, because you need to be part of a group. Else solo players, part of the first episode or second episode is that solo players are cheaters, therefore and any and all cheaters are bad. And that's just, again, you can understand it that way. It's perfectly reasonable, but he acts outlandish and like, whoa. It's like at the same time, anyways. That one scene, even him following her, that's not sexual assault. Like that's not even sexual harassment. It's you need to be protected from this guy that you want to hang around with because he's a solo player. Solo players are cheaters. Cheaters are bad. They take things from us. They keep information from us, etc. So again, you didn't give an example. You're just saying, oh my gosh, the entire series is depicting of sexual assaults. You know what? I wish in Sword Art Online that they were sexually assaulting a female player every day. Every episode, every scene. There's just a woman in the back getting raped constantly. That would be hilarious. Like, you think that's what we like? What the fuck, woman? Gosh, misogyny, sexual assault. It's like the reason that the entire Me Too movement, what you said down here, Me Too movement, ongoing discussions about ongoing discussions about racial equality. It's when you just say things with no substantial reasoning, evidence, or arguments to back up your claim, to support your claim. You're just saying it's one Sword Art Online has featured at least one scene depicting sexual assault on a female character. Yes. Okay, but you haven't given it as an example. In fact, it got to the point that Riki Kawahara, I apologize for, okay, hopefully that's how you pronounce your name, the creator had to apologize to the voice actors involved. Okay. Oh! No. As for an example, okay, I forgot, that was actually the first season. You know what? I took that entire thing. The one sexual assault that's happening is an actual rape. Like, I would say, like technically rape, but it's a sexual assault, actual sexual assault, is at the very end when the main character or the main villain has kidnapped his wife in the reality world and is literally doing whatever he wants to her and has imprisoned her, chained her up, and tore her clothes off. And while the main hero is pinned down with his own sword, is watching him assault his wife. That was real. And and it was great the way he died in the reality. But then he actually got his comeuppance in the real world too, just not as great as he wanted to. It's just the hero overcame that issue. So did she. And again, that point wasn't that they're celebrating sexual assault. Everybody who's good actually understands how horrible that situation is. No one in the fucking world is praising, I'm so glad I watched this sexual assault. Yay, we need to rape more women. You could probably say me because I just said it, but that's taking it out of context. Oh my gosh. In fact, it got to the point, and again, somebody apologizing for it doesn't mean, somebody on Twitter, people on Twitter can try to shame you to submit and try to get you to apologize. And just because you apologize doesn't mean that the thing that was created was bad. Somebody apologized. The creator apologized. For example, here's another example. The Lord of the Rings was created by... he's a household name. Peter Jackson. I think it's Peter Jackson. I might be. Let me find the name on that, because that's kind of rude for me to misquote the actual creator. Okay, I actually was correct. Peter Jackson, the creator of the movies of The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings, I think, is a phenomenal film, and he actually put his heart and soul into that project. That he lost weight during the 1 hour, not 1 hour, 1 year production. It either took 1 year or 3 years. I don't know which one it took. I think it was just 1 year. It literally, from start to finish, they had everything was filmed back to back, all three movies. But he created those films were phenomenal, arguably the best trilogy to have ever been produced. And then he created the Hobbit trilogy. I would argue that it has the worst CGI, worst plot comparatively. It's just things don't make sense, and they use CGI as a crux. We want to show this scene, and we're going to use so much CGI rather than trying to tell a story or trying to make as much realism, try to make it as real as possible. Peter Jackson made the first trilogy. And then he made the second trilogy. The second trilogy is just god-awful. It's enjoyable, but it's just not as quality of the first one. And just because the creator apologized to the voice actors, even if he apologized, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, it was a very real and phenomenal experience because we got to see the hero overcome, save his wife from evil. It's a good thing that we were calling out sexual assault. Is it not? Or the fact that that sexual assault was shown means that you're misogynistic. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. We need to cheer this stuff on and call it out. So if somebody gets killed in a show, don't show killing, it's bad. It means that you want to actually kill people. No, these people need to overcome what it's like to be in this world to overcome that. Like how if somebody was actually murdered in this world, how would somebody overcome that? I think the Harry Potter series, not great. Ron was kind of fucked over because all of his good lines, actually, were taken so Hermione could use it because feminism. And it would have been amazing to see a stronger Ron to actually have the strong characters. For example, when I don't remember an exact scene off the top of my head. Again, this is right before bed, and I apologize, but that's not a good excuse. So again, I apologize on that front. So we'll go with this one. Considering this criticism has been raised repeatedly for almost a decade now. This criticism of having a sexual assault on screen. Okay, it's frustrating to see it continue to happen despite fans' vocal protests. One, you could have fans vocally protest, but can you please give a reason? How many of these fans are actually vocally protesting it versus how many just don't give a fuck about it? Because if you say 1,000 people are vocally protesting it, but 1 million people don't care the fuck about it, should we not focus on the 1 million people? If you're producing content, should you not listen to the fans that are the majority and those who actually enjoy real content that isn't fucking woke? Yeah, woke in of itself is not a bad word. Being politically woke is an association to SJWs. The reason that SJWs are constantly an issue for me is that they play by I'm gonna associate any and all people that are SJW that are associated with this quote unquote wokeness. SJWs, leftists, modern day liberals, Democrats, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, LGBTQ. They are not all on the same level. But they all have the issue, that one fundamental issue that is why I criticize them. And I know that might sound like I'm a sexist, a bigot, a racist. The reason I disagree with it is that they are playing by different rules than we are. If we show a rape on screen and everybody's against it and everybody's proud to fight against it, and yet the fact that it's shown means that you're misogynistic. Wow. That's fucked up and you're stupid, you're retarded, you think that you're the good guy. For example, why I disagree with BLM, Antifa, not really Antifa, BLM and LGBTQ. And this is the only thing I'll get with political-wise, specifically. I disagree with it because I think it's weird to have a political ideology based around a immutable skin color. For example, feminism. Can you be both a non-feminist and a woman? Can a woman who's not a feminist still be strong, still be athletic, still be courageous, still be charismatic, still be beautiful? Yes, absolutely. because you don't have to have an ideology, political ideology, based off an immutable skin color, a mutable characteristic. So, yeah. So again, just because there's a lot of people on Twitter that are protesting, like, oh my gosh, Trump is Hitler. It's like, okay, Trump isn't Hitler. Shut up, you vocal retards. Okay. Excuse me. So let's get into this one, because I'm kind of curious about this one. I need to go to bed, but we'll keep yeah. Weakness, the rising of the shield hero. Look how big that wallpaper is. You know, just so we don't have to keep typing and give examples. I think the majority of her work writing this entire article was just to find the wallpapers. Just post them like, which one would look really good? That's the only thought I would think that of what she gave to this article. There's no substance. It's just, I like it, I don't like it, I hate it, I love it. It's, what? Okay. Against Sword Art Online, Shield Hero, the Rising of the Shield Hero, has way fewer episodes to compare to. However, which again is not an issue. If anything, having more episodes, more seasons can fill you with much greater criticism because of how many things have either went right or wrong. And just because, and if you have Firefly, for example, anybody out there who has not seen that show, Firefly, I highly recommend going watching it. It's not CGI heavy. It's like 1% CGI. The rest is all Western in space. That's the best way to explain it. Just a Western in space. It's pretty freaking awesome. And like or dislike any and all the characters and their ideologies whatsoever, I think they do them well. There may be some critiques here and there, but I think fundamentally the entire show holds up even to today. And it was only canceled because they wanted to go in a different direction with their production. With the company. Anyways, just because it has more or even fewer, if you have fewer episodes or even one episode, there was a, let me find that episode. Let me find the episode. Okay, from Riven, Riven, X3I, I'll have the link down below. He made a fan film for 15 minutes of My Hero Academia, the anime, and did it with his own, with both him, he's the main character in this thing, he's the villain, he's the main character, and he made this little story. It's well filmed, the choreography's on point, the cut scenes, the cut actions, like this. I don't want to get copyrighted, but let's watch this. I think we'll have this shown. Which one is it? Oh, they're already gone. Which one is it? Okay, if we can't find it, it's gonna be okay. But even like his mother and everything, it's like there's a story behind there. It's only 15 minutes. I highly recommend going watching it. I'll have the link down below. But just because somebody has less content doesn't mean that something is better or worse. You can have a whole hell of a lot of seasons, a whole lot of episodes. Despicable Me is not as as grand as people think in comparison to Megamind. I think there are some things that it does well, better in some areas, but Megamind is still strong in its own regard. There's not much Megamind. There's not much Megamind content out there. If anything, it only had that one movie, and then people moved on. But because Minions, or Despicable Me 1, 2, and 3, have so many things all over the place, therefore it's better. Okay? Does it? No? No! Okay. So. However, even its first season isn't immune to critiques. Like all things. And compared to SAO, Sword Art Online, it goes beyond technical issues. Yeah, and I doubt you're going to give us any explanation. Ooh! The main point. Okay, the entire plot of the first season is him being falsely accused of rape. Okay? That happens in the real world. Are you if you're going, again, this is me more just making fun of her. Are you going against people men specifically, who have been falsely accused of rape and having their entire lives destroyed by one credible, powerful woman who everybody loves and adores and respects, and she can do whatever she wants to any man because everybody believes her rather than him because she is a woman, she has a vagina, therefore she's someone that we should protect, someone we should care about, rather than just, okay, the credibility of whatever the argument was, or whatever the situation, or whatever the event actually occurred. Well, we have to go with her word because she's the princess. Yeah, that's kind of much how it goes. You have power, you have authority. Oh, and you're a woman. You gotta believe her. That's kind of how it goes. It's sort of the redundancy of the hashtag #MeToo movement. It's like, I've been accused of, like, I've been raped. I've been numb to it because, okay, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm saying that I've been raped. Okay, what is it? Well, he touched me. Where? On the shoulder on our first date. That's not rape. Like, that was an argument that happened. It's like there was a woman that went onto a very bad date and had sex and didn't like the sex, and after she claimed rape. She didn't like their sex. Consciously, she was accepting of the sex. She went through the sex, and then she went through the sex. She had sex and was regretting who she had sex with, how she had sex, how she felt with having sex. Consensual sex. Called it rape. It's like I don't care anymore. Like, I'm sorry you went through that, but if you associate with the hashtag #MeToo movement, it's like I'm out. That's what my issue is with it. Naofumi is a complex character. I'd actually argue with the opposite, just because I feel like arguing everything opposite of her, because she's just awful at trying to give any explanation whatsoever. Naofumi is a very simple character. He was a very wide-open, wishful, hopeful character at the very beginning of the series. Everybody shunned him and kicked him out of society, and he was very begrudging about it. That's not much of a complex character at all. It's very simple. He's reacting to his life, and his horrible life that he was thrust in upon. But yeah, I would say there's complexity in that, but he's a very simple character. Oh, man. But he becomes a very complex character. I'd give her on that one. I'd agree with you that Naofumi actually becomes a very complex character because he becomes proficient, aware, knowledgeable, in the know, doing the right thing. So he's actually a very complex character. So I'd agree with you on that one. In the first episode alone, he's forcefully removed from his world into an unfamiliar one, and is falsely accused of a terrible crime he did not commit, with no way to clear his name. In accidental travel terms, his origin story as the Shield Hero is a dramatic metaphor for otaku fans who might feel like they don't fit in, making him and his redemption story something that fans can sympathize with and root for. Okay, no, I'd agree with that one. It's not the reason why I liked it per se, but somebody who doesn't fit in and somebody who's cast out from society, I'd agree that that's the reason, but I would argue against that point, but I think she is correct. I think there's a better point to make, is that he was falsely accused, and the fact that everybody's against him, it's not that you don't fit in, it's that everybody's against you for a crime you didn't commit. And again, I want to argue against it because I don't think it's a strong point, but I don't think it's a wrong point. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to think it through, but yeah. However, in the wake of recent events, it's not actually recent, it's actually the last few years, and there's lots of things that have happened in the last few years. The president got impeached. He did. It got revoked through the political process, but the Democrats impeached him. Like him or hate him, there's a lot of things. There's been an outbreak of COVID-19, and there's been a pandemic of proportions of the likes that I don't think we would have ever believed to have happened until it actually happened. Things are shut down. You need to not be within 6 feet of another person, but as long as you're in the sunlight and outside in dry environments, COVID will die very quickly. But you still need to abide by these laws regardless of whatever the science is. So the science has become political. It's so weird. So it's not recent at all. Especially given to the Me Too movement and ongoing discussions about racial equality. When you go with racial equality, I know that you're not using the word Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter is a political organization, and I will use that. It's weird to have a political association with any immutable characteristic. It's weird. You can point out racial equality, but at the same time, will you focus on any other races, or is it specifically about black race? Or about, again, racial equality? The best way to make races equal is to remove the word race. We're one race, buddy. Bitch. It's remove race. And what do you have? Men and women. Boom. That's how you make everybody equal among races. How do you make men and women equal? People. Call them people. A person. You make it equal by removing the factor of race. We can look at particular ethnicities, but I don't think of us as different races. We're one race, different ethnicities, different biological makeups, different different tendencies to do one thing over the other because of biology. But because of that, doesn't matter. You still act in a certain way. If you fight against an urge of trying to hurt somebody, you might be a guy. It's like, oh, you make me so angry, I won't do anything. Oh, you're either a bitch or a guy trying to fight his urge. So, I don't know which one it is. Either way, it's offensive. So we can move on. I've checked that off my list. I can go to bed happily. I can go to bed happy. Shield Hero's false rape accusations and apparent condoning. I'm going to go with condoning. Condonation. There we go. Apparent condonation of slavery can be triggering, and really, if you are triggered by the word slavery or any like rape accusations is an event that has happened to you. If you have had an event that happens to you, that would be something that one can consider to be triggering, like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. An event happens to you, your nervous system is in that shock and awe phase, and anytime that you rehearse that situation in your mind, your body goes into shutdown mode or rehashes that event. That's understandable if the event happened to you. But again, just because it happened to you, the post-traumatic stress disorder comes from a nervous system having that shock and awe reaction. You don't have to go through horrors of war to have PTSD. Okay? It's weird because you could go through. You could be the victim of a riot, and the riot comes after you because you're in a car, you're of a different race, you're gonna die. And it's like, whoa, I survived that, I got rid of it, I don't want, it's like I just have this PTSD against it because your nervous system, the science behind it in a very simple way, is that your nervous system, it's like when you experience a shock, if for example, if you take a D battery and then you lick, which I highly recommend you don't do this, but you do it once and that's it. You take a D battery, that square rectangle one, and then with the positive and negative being on the same side, you place it on your tongue for just less than a second. Just touch it, boom. You'll feel that shock that's happening because there's a release in the current that's happening within the battery. And your nervous system is sending those messages to the brain. So what's happening with the post-traumatic stress disorder is that a situation happens, your nervous system and your emotional state and your thoughts all sync up to be a shock and awe moment, and it just imprints it and it rehearses itself anytime that a trigger happens. So again, it's not outlandish to have a post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD anytime that you have that shock and awe reaction when a rape accusation or a slavery situation happens at any point. But if you haven't been raped and if you haven't experienced slavery, I think it's weird. If you don't even know anybody who has actually been raped or has actually been a slave, I think it's weird to empathize with slavery and rape so much that it's a trigger word for you feeling like, oh my gosh, like, grow the fuck up. You're an adult now, creating horrible, terrible articles, but grow up. Okay. Can be triggering and very difficult for modern audiences to take on board. No, I think it's just you. I think it's you and your ilk. SJWs, leftists, modern-day liberals, not classic liberals. I love disagreeing with classic liberals because they give me a different way of looking at the world. It's phenomenal. But yeah, modern Democrat, it's like if the thing you have an issue with the show is misogyny, but you think the entire series has at least one thing that permeates a sexual assault, it's like, yeah, the sexual assault everybody's fighting against, but you're still perpetuating it because it's a bad thing? Or you're saying that because that we showed it, therefore we love it. It's like, yay, rape. Oh my gosh. The implications of the show are intense and deserve more space to fully delve into. Will you please give us an example? My expectations that you won't do that, but let's see if you'll subvert them. But essentially, Shield Hero's message can be confusing and even harmful for some audiences. What do you mean? Please give an example. But you won't. Expectations not subverted. Notably, as this was written in Japan, some of those gray areas could possibly be attributed to cultural differences. Regardless of their cultural differences or not, there's just some better written things than others. I tried to watch, what was it? Batman Samurai, or Samurai Batman. It's an anime. The animation looked pretty cool, but the moment they started getting into that big mecha fight, and that's not really giving out a lot of information, but it does specify which scene I'm talking about. They start doing that big mecha fight. It's just what? I couldn't get into it. I stopped watching. I'm done with this. I'm out. Like, I couldn't get into it. It was just so outlandish. I think it was horribly written. The animation was amazing. The story was okay. Like, it was pretty good. I was watching. I was like, okay. And then we got to that big fight, and it just seems like it's like we're gonna just have this big mecha fight. Okay. Like, I just couldn't get into it. Now, that's not a good enough argument or good enough justification for not watching it. I'd have to watch the entire thing all the way through and point out whether or not I actually liked it, maybe watch it even a third time, or at least complete it the first time, then I can start criticizing it. So I agree with you on that one. It's just my own personal experience, my own personal event. Yeah. Notably, with cultural differences. But when does it become too much? To showcase how rape is bad, falsely accusing a man of rape is a bad thing that we can all get behind. When does it come too much? Okay, let's use this exact same argument to see if we can actually to defend her point better than she's doing, because she hasn't explained anything. It's like she's talking to herself in the mirror without talking to another person, or at least writing something for other people to see. These are outline things that you write in a first draft. It's not something that you put out. This entire article is something that you write as a first draft. Then you go back and start giving explanations and reasoning and structure it a little bit better as to why certain things are the way they are, or at least the reasoning or evidence as to support your claim. Oh my gosh, when does it become too much? Okay, when does it become too much for the hero to slay the villain or just at least beat him? I think the trope is overdone, but again can be done wonderfully. It's a very common thing for the hero to win. It sucks when the hero doesn't win at the end. But guess what? It happens over and over and over and over in stories that everybody likes. The fact that everybody likes it, it doesn't mean that it's a good thing, but it's a very common thing that can work. Just because it's done too much, you could argue that it's done too much, but you called it the fact that someone shown rape as a bad thing should be as a showing it too much means that any person that shows that they show rape as a bad thing means that they are misogynistic. This woman is a fucking bitch. What's your name? Abby okay, I don't like mispronouncing names, but we'll call you Abby. But we'll call you Abby from The Last of Us 2, because that's such a bad character in that game. Oh my gosh, we'll call you that Abby. We're gonna say that Abby. Oh my gosh. Which is the better isekai, accidental travel anime? Even though Sword Art Online has been around longer and has improved with each season, by the way, my expectation is that she won't give any explanation. She'll just say what's touchy-feely, and she'll just say, well, I like it, or this is what it is, without any evidence or support for her claim. But let's continue. Even though Sword Art Online has been around longer and has improved with each season, the rising of the Shield Hero has had less technical issues from the start. Okay? What technical issues? You haven't named one from the start, and it is constantly subverting expectations with storytelling. Constantly subverting expectations is not a good thing inherently. Fundamentally, it's not a good thing to just subvert your expectations. For example, in Star Wars, no, not the Disney trilogy, just Star Wars in general. A Star Wars movie comes out, and then, at the very beginning of the scene, they show a decapitation, and then the main villain fucking the head. It's like, whoa, that subverted my expectations. I didn't know how evil they could have been. Yes, but subverting your that's not Star Wars. that's fucked up, dude. Or, for example, I keep going to sex because, for example, a kid's show. We'll go with Naruto. It's not really a kid's show anymore, but technically it is at the same time. Naruto. The main, they're all fighting with their ninja-like abilities and using jujitsu and all those itsu abilities that they have. And the main character pulls out a Tommy gun and shoots himself. Like, what the fuck? Subverted your expectation. It's like, subverting your expectation is what people, like, oh my gosh, my expectations have been subverted. It's so stunning and brave. That's not a good thing. Just to have your expectations subverted. What's morally good within that is how it subverted your expectations, not that it just subverted your expectations, or what she said, constantly subverted your expectations. You know what would really subvert my expectation? If they all transformed into one mega monster and just killed everybody. That would really subvert my expectations. And if it happened, oh, the fact it happened mean it's wonderful, yay! Oh, bullshit. Oh my gosh. So again, this woman values constantly subverted expectations as a good thing. Okay, then you must really love horror films for that exact reason. No, not horror films. It's like, I guess everybody's supposed to die in a horror film, so yeah. Again, you can have subverted expectations, but it tell a good reason as to why it subverted your expectations. Can you please freaking tell me what subverted expectation you like, rather than just saying, I liked it? Oh my gosh, even saying it that way. She proved me correct. My expectations were not subverted, so the thing that you like, you didn't practice. I'm just making fun of her at this point. There's nothing else from this. Even we have 1.5 paragraphs to go, and I'm just done with this, but we'll keep going. Yes, it's subtext. What do you mean subtext? You haven't given any... What? Explain yourself, you fucktard. Gosh. Yes, it's subtext. Yes, it's subtext. Okay. Yes, its subtext is tricky for some audiences to swallow. What do you mean by that? Like, ooh, swallow. That's sexual assault. But hopefully the show's upcoming seasons might make up for its icky first season themes. I forgot she used the word icky unironically. I forgot she was this type of person. But I didn't have my expectations subverted. She was exactly, if not more so, the person I thought she was. Icky first season's themes. Gosh. You can say something's icky, but you don't put it in professional work. Therefore, compared to Sword Art Online, Shield Hero is the superior accidental travel. This isn't to discredit the progress Sword Art Online has made. What do you mean by progress? Because by using the word misogynist, I'm assuming you to be a leftist, a modern day liberal, an SJW, woke retard. When you use the word progress, I'm always skeptical about what you mean by that. I always have this, halt on the break of pausing. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by the word progress? Because I think we might be using two different words there. Progress can mean LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, progress. Like, oh, yay, we're changing culture. Versus progress of trying to make it a better film, regardless of whether or not we kill a black man, a black woman, a white man, a white woman. It's like, regardless of who we have to kill or rape in the series, which would be horrible, how can we make a better story? How can we feed to how can we give to our fans so they'll continue enjoying the story and the world that we're building? the only way that I will accept the word progress in this, you fucking Abby, you Abby, you fuck, is whether or not is whether you mean it that the world Sword Art Online is going to make a better story arc and help continue to make continuity a better thing within its story and respect the past. You don't have to continue with the past is dead. But the dead are to be honored and respected because they came before us to let us live a life that we live right now. That's something that we should honor. Honor the past, honor the dead. It's done. We can go ahead and relive those moments because we have the technology. But if you mean with the progress of LGBT, Black Lives Matter, politics, SJW, woke, leftist bullshit, then I think that's where we have the issue. It's like, I'm so grateful that Sword Art Online has become more woke. I'm not. I'm the opposite if that's where it's going. And if anything, I'm just gonna enjoy the season that it did create. Maybe have to watch the few seasons to actually get a full context of what's going on. Maybe she's just lying and has actually. Maybe she's been telling me that it's becoming that Sword Art Online has been progressing LGBT wise, or Black Lives Matter again, basing in a political ideology like feminism, based off an immutable characteristic. That's just so weird to me. That really is. That's no. Or even guarantee the continued success of Shield Hero. Okay, wait, that doesn't make any sense. This isn't to discredit the progress Sword Art Online has, or even guarantee the continued success of Shield Hero. Okay? What do you mean, okay? Like, the success part, but what do you mean? Okay, well, I'll give it to her. Like, okay. Given that both shows are currently running and available on major stream platforms, oh my gosh, she hasn't explained anything in this thing. Well, let's read the last sentence so we could be done with the article, because she's dumb. Given that both shows are currently running and available on major streaming platforms, any accidentally travel fan should check both out and compare for themselves. That's a good way to end it. It's like, here's what I think, and then here's my reasoning for my answers, and now you should go check both of them out in these locations, give your own opinions or something. So you could like if you have Crunchyroll or something, and they're paying you for I'm trying to think of what the word. It's really I'm tired, but what time is it? Oh, it's past my bedtime. It's way past my bedtime of what I should be getting ready for bed. I should be in bed by now, but because I wake up really early, like at 4 or something. Given that both shows are currently, she hasn't explained anything as to why. Okay, let's just go with why. I'm trying to squeeze juice from a brick. Okay, that's what's happening here. I am trying with all of my might to make gravy out of stool. It's just gross, but I'm going to try. I'm going to make coffee out of swine flu. Swine mucus or something. That's what this article is. But we'll try to go with what the reasoning is. Try to see what it is. Why she likes the Rising of the Shield Hero better. Or why she thinks it is better than the Sword Art Online. Even though Sword Art Online has been around longer and has improved with each season, the Rising of the Shield Hero has had less technical issue from the start and is constantly subverting expectations with its storytelling. Yes, its subtext is tricky for some audiences to swallow, but hopefully the show's upcoming seasons might make up for its icky first season themes. Okay. After reading the entire article, it has been proven that she doesn't fucking know what she's talking about. She has given no reasons as to why the Rising of the Shield Hero is better than Sword Art Online. It has less technical issues. Doesn't explain why. From the start, and is constantly subverting expectations. Which expectations are being subverted with its storytelling? It's better subverted. What do you mean by that? If anything, Sword Art Online, regardless of whether or not it subverts your expectations, has better storytelling and is better regardless of whether or not some expectations are subverted. That would be an argument. It's not my argument, but it's an argument you could give one way or the other. But the fact that she values that, oh, I had the rug pulled out under me. Oh my gosh, the veils have been revealed and something has been shown us that didn't make sense if you think about it, but it changes the story. Yay! This is such shallow thinking. This is retarded thinking. Oh my gosh, and she gets paid to do this. Wow. She is overpaid. Talk about female privilege. This is female privilege. This is feminist privilege right here. This is you are way overpaid for the shit you provide. Oh my gosh, Abby Espiritu or whatever. It sounds like Nosferatu. You are way overpaid for whatever fucking things you produce. This is dumb. Oh my gosh. Let's go with the comment. Oh, it's in Spanish. Fuck. Okay, I don't know what this is. El que escribe, whatever. I don't know. Yep, that is me salting the earth with any and all, destroying the bridge, salting the earth of trying to make any bounds with any Spanish people out there, Spanish-speaking people out there. I don't know what this language is. That's weird. Well, maybe you shouldn't you learn? Probably, but I don't wanna. Ah, good reasoning. Good show, young chap. Have at the. I'm done. Okay. Thank you very much for being a part of this and watching all the way through. Please post your comments, questions, and concerns right down below. Please hit that and smash that like and subscribe button because that would greatly help this channel out. And most importantly, go out and do wonders. Thank you very much for being a part of this, and I'll see you next time. Beep.